Okay, there we go.
Awesome. All right, take it away, babe.
Thank you. All right, so I'm super excited to talk to you guys about this. This is something that is just so meaningful for me to share, just because I think it's something that I struggled so much with in the beginning. And I really started just not really knowing what I was doing, not sure how to get my page to be like a representation of me and to look the way I wanted it to. And I didn't really have any like marketing background or anything like that. And I really struggled to make my page look like I really wanted it to, and to be able to get my story across the way that I wanted it to. So I'm really going to kind of break down for you guys a little bit of kind of how to make your page this aesthetic representation of who you are and what you like, and to make it this visual representation of you, as well as some just like logistical things of like what that means to have a brand and develop a brand, and to make your page a representation of your voice as well. And then kind of break it down into my own journey and how I went about actually doing that for myself. So hopefully this is helpful for you guys, and I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. Okay. Oh, there we go. Okay. It always like freezes right before. Okay, so developing your brand and finding your voice. There we go. Okay, so understanding branding. It's really broken down into three major things, which is the appearance, the overall look and feel of your page, which is really what is going to draw people in initially, being able to have something that's aesthetically pleasing, looks coherent all together, and then as well as your voice. So once you've drawn people in, what's your story? What's going to keep them wanting to come back and hear more from you, and really have that deeper connection with you? And then consistency. So the consistency of the appearance of your page and of the story and the values that you share there. So I'm going to go into that a little bit deeper. So when you first think about branding, the first thing you want to think about is the overall appearance of your page and how you can make that look cohesive, how you can make it look like this bigger representation of you and who you are. And at first, this is something that really confused the living crap out of me. And I had a really hard time trying to represent who I was in like photo form, and how to make it look like something that I really enjoyed looking at. And I kept looking at all these other coaches who seemed like they had it together, and I just really struggled. But over time and just practicing and figuring out what I liked and messing around with different like photo editing apps and things like that, I really just simplified it for myself. And really what it comes down to, at least for me, and how I try to look at it, is really just thinking about what you are personally drawn to when you are scrolling through your Instagram, when you are scrolling through your feed. What do you really stop to look at? What are you drawn to? Are there certain colors that you enjoy more, or patterns, prints, certain objects? And really breaking down, like, how do you want people to feel when they look at your page? So are you attracted to more like muted and calming kind of muted tones, or are you drawn to more vibrant and really bright colors and things that are kind of more bright, happy, and exciting to look at, and things like that? So really just trying to take a minute to sit down and think about what you personally enjoy looking at, because that's going to make it so much more exciting and fun to create your own feed, to edit your own pictures, and to create this overall aesthetic feel to your page and representation of you there. So color psychology. I just think it's really cool to think about how colors can represent different things in general, but really thinking about what colors you're usually drawn to. So for my page, how I really simplified it for myself was thinking about the colors that, you know, when I'm out shopping or I'm, you know, looking at things, what do I always stop and pick up? And for me, it was always like a rusty orange color that's like all through my closet is rust orange, like everything, or like maroon, so like reds and orange, and then turquoise with like jewelry and things like that. So those are the colors that I always really stopped to pick up, and that I really found aesthetically pleasing for myself and would be easy to represent in my page over and over, because they were surrounding me all the time. They were so much a big part of my world and the things that I just naturally like bought and had in my home, in my closet, and things like that. So it was easy to create that consistency in my page and have that pop of color consistently and like photo after photo and make it look more cohesive in that way. So I'm going to show you how that kind of looks. So this is kind of funny because I have Gabby on here. I stole this from a branding slide that I did for my team. So you just kind of want to think of like how to make it consistent overall. So when you look at my page over here, I'm KB Fit, you can kind of see how those rusty oranges and those aqua kind of turquoise blues play out over and over again, picture to picture. And really all I'm doing is wearing those colors and representing the things that are already around me. And I might move like a certain object if I don't have like something rusty orange or red in the picture, I might move it over just to keep that like consistency there and my feed going on and to create that overall look that I'm going for. But also thinking about things that you enjoy, like prints and patterns as well. So a common theme in my feed is also like plants. You can see them in the background often, like right here, you can see them next to my computer. You can see them in the background of a lot of photos usually, or on my phone case, I have cactuses on it. So it's just like this overall representation of not only the colors and things that I'm drawn to, but also prints and things that I'm drawn to, and giving that overall feel of what I like and what I'm all about. And so when you look at Gabby's, she has like this overall like beachy vibe to her page with like the palm leaves and things like that, and those prints that you see over and over as well that give that more beachy vibe, and also with the blue tones and things like that give that feel. And then, sorry, I'm like out of breath. And then when you look at Ashley Molstad's, she really loves pink. So her page has pinks and reds and those bright colors represented over and over. She likes sparkly things. So she has like glitter on her page all the time and things like that. So that's represented over and over because that's what she's drawn to. So really just showing, like I always say, it's like you on steroids, what you're drawn to on steroids. So representing yourself over and over and over again and the things that you enjoy within your photos. Okay, and then breaking it down to apps to use. So I'm sure Gabby's gone over this with you before. So you can look at Lightroom presets if you don't know how to use those. Mextures is a really cool one for like light leaks and stuff, and VSCO is what I use. So really just taking the time to fool around and see what you're drawn to, what kind of filters that you like the look of, and to not be afraid to experiment until you find something that really sits right with you and feels like an authentic representation of you and who you are. And I love VSCO because they have options at the bottom where you can look at things like warm tones if you're drawn more towards like pinks and reds. They have cool tones, so you can look specifically at those ones. They have vibrant ones, so you can look specifically at the brighter kind of filters on there, so you can kind of separate it in that way. And they also have a tool that allows you to play with the colors a little bit, which is what I do to make really those rusty reds and those blues pop even more. So it's even more apparent when people look at my page. And I'm going to show you exactly how I do that as well. So I go into VSCO and I circled it down here as well. You can see how you can separate it into those different like warm, cool, and vibrant tones. So once you find a filter that you like, and when I was choosing mine, I literally just scrolled through. I had one photo and I tried a bunch of different filters on it, and I screenshotted all the ones I really liked. And then I kind of dwindled it down from there from my photos. So when I have a photo with the filter and everything that I usually use in it, I up the exposure to make it really bright and make it pop even more, and up the clarity so it's even more crisp looking. And that's especially nice if you're taking your photos on your phone. You can make them look even more high quality than they like really are. But then my last step, which is really what makes my photos stand out so much with the colors, is I go to this setting called HSL, and then I mess with the colors a little bit. So I go to those oranges and I bump them up a little bit so I can take, it's like a red to an orange gradient. So I push it more towards the orange side. So anything that's slightly red in the photo will turn more towards orange. So it looks more cohesive with my overall look and color scheme of my page. And then I go to the blues as well, and it's kind of a turquoise to a dark blue, and I push it all the way towards turquoise and put the saturation up so it turns into this bright turquoise color, even if I'm wearing like a darker blue. Or my couch is actually gray, and that winds up turning towards this like kind of blue hue in photos as well. So it just helps me to create this overall like cohesive look of color in my page as well, even if the colors that I'm wearing are like slightly off. So that's just a little hack that I use. So then once you've found your overall look and feel of your page, you really want to break it down to your voice as well. Because as I said, your overall look of your page, the aesthetics of everything is what's going to draw people in. But if you don't have anything like valuable to say, then people aren't going to stay there to listen, to want to connect with you and find out more about what you have to share, about your journey, about how you can help them, and the resources you can provide if you don't figure out what kind of message you're trying to send them. So there are three major components to developing your voice: your values, your audience, and your authenticity, which I'm going to break down a little bit as well. Okay, so your values. So when you are really thinking about what the message you want to send is, you really want to think of what makes you special and unique, what interests do you have. So it could be something unique about your story. If, you know, a lot of the girls on Team Thrive came from this softball background and this wanting to be a part of a team again, and that value of community and stuff, that's something special and unique to them that came from that team aspect that not everybody's going to have, and people who have also been part of sports or a team before are going to relate to. So that helps them develop that niche. Where I talk more about kind of this love of traveling and adventure and being outside, and that's what really drew me to the coaching opportunity, not the community aspect so much. So what makes your story special and unique? What specifically drew you to this opportunity? What do you specifically want to stand for as well? So if you came into this really struggling with your health and fitness journey and struggling with self-love, maybe that's the kind of thing that you want to stand for. You want to stand for developing that self-love for yourself. Or maybe you came into this with a lot of self-doubt and you kind of want to have your message be about growth, but really sitting down just to think about what message you want to send, what kind of journey you're on, what kind of theme has come up over and over again in your life that you can represent on your page. Okay, and then your audience. So who you're trying to help and attract, most likely just like you, your avatar. So this confused the crap out of me at first because I think it's so easy to try and attract everyone and want to please everyone and want to sign up everyone, when really you're trying to find your own little niche. You're trying to find people who really have the same challenges and struggles as you, and that's what's really going to make them connect with you and make them want to continue to follow you, because they connect so deeply with your story and value what you have to share so deeply. And really it just comes down to sharing your story and the challenges that you have, both, you know, leading up to this business, your challenges with why you signed up and wanted to become a coach, your challenges with your health and fitness journey, and sharing those challenges and how you overcome them day in and day out, because you're going to wind up attracting those people with the same challenges, and then they're going to appreciate your solution that much more. And then the last bit is authenticity. And this was something I really struggled with starting out, because I really just was struggling so hard to find my own voice and struggling so hard to figure out what my page looked like. And I wound up kind of looking to other coaches for inspiration, which was probably the last thing that I should have been doing. So you really don't want to be mimicking another coach or what you think people will like, because it's not going to be coming off as authentic. It's going to feel weird and uncomfortable for you, because it's not true to you and who you are. And people are going to be able to tell that you're, like slightly rewording something from someone else's post, or, or like using the filter that you saw them use because it works good on their feed. But then when because it doesn't feel true to you and who you are, it's going to not come off authentic to your audience as well. So really making sure that you are having an honest representation of your own experiences on your page, what you value, what you're finding challenging, what you're overcoming, and sharing why this is important to you specifically. And that really helps to build that trust with your audience. And I like to think it more like thinking of a grimy car salesman that's selling something just to sell something, and versus recommending something from a friend. So you want to build that authentic relationship, be that authentic representation of you and who you are, so people feel like you're their friend. They feel like they can come to you when they need help, when they're struggling with something, when they are ready for those resources that you have to offer them. And then building your overall brand really just comes down to consistency. So having that consistency in your appearance of your feed, having that consistent filter, having that consistent color scheme. So photo to photo, it looks like it meshes and it matches together. And when you're looking at it, it's like a big gallery representing you and who you are, as well as having that consistent value and topics discussed within your page, which is really just sharing your story over and over and over, and having that consistent audience you're talking to, which that last one might kind of change and develop over time as you change and develop. Like Gabby got pregnant within her journey. So at first her audience probably wasn't as big of like other pregnant women as it probably is now, and now she's probably connecting more with like other moms and things like that, because that's how her journey progressed. So your audience might change a little bit as your life progresses as well, but keeping it consistent along the way. So then I just want to have a time check. Okay, we're doing good. So then breaking it down into really how I learned to develop my own voice, because I think the logistics of it are like great, but sometimes it's hard to really picture how to put those into action for yourself. So I really struggled with self-doubt in the beginning of my journey. I struggled with comparison a lot to other girls on the team, and I really just lacked self-confidence, to be honest. And I really just shot myself in the foot when I was looking at other people's pages and comparing myself to them and seeing what they were writing in their captions, how they were editing things, and seeing how they were doing things, because then I just compared myself to them and felt lesser than, rather than focusing on my own journey of growth. So what really helped me develop my own voice and become more confident in who I was and who I am as a coach was just putting my blinders up. I unfollowed a lot of coaches or like blocked their posts from my feed, and just decided that I wasn't going to look at them and see what they were writing about, because I needed to develop that own like confidence and conviction in myself first. And not looking to others for inspiration as well. So looking to yourself and your own story for that inspiration. And I cannot tell you how many times I leaned on personal development books to really grow me out of that like less than kind of mindset. And I read listened to so many podcasts, and really that was like the main thing that I needed to work on. So I focused on it day in and day out until I saw myself kind of start to grow out of it and gain that confidence in myself. And I think sometimes it's so easy when we're looking at our page and we're not sure what to post to feel kind of stuck, and then get in this habit of looking at other people's pages for like inspiration, but you're really just taking away from your own voice, your own story, taking something away from your audience who's trying to connect with you and what you have to share, not somebody else and their like own ideas and opinions on things. So now what I do when I feel stuck or uninspired, I really stop to think about what's going on in my own life right now. Good or bad, I share it. And if it's something more negative, even if I'm feeling negative in that moment, I stop then to think like, how am I going to get over this right now? And it almost pushes me to take that step for myself as well, because then I'm sharing on my page like how I'm going to overcome that. And those are the things that sometimes are the most relatable, because it's not always perfect. It's not always the easiest thing in the world, and we're not always perfectly like happy and positive, but sharing those moments of kind of where you're challenged and you're struggling are really what help to connect you with your audience the most and builds the most trust. As well as sharing why this business matters to me, what I'm grateful for. So if I'm ever stuck, I always kind of just stop to think of what's going on in my life in this moment and what can I share and what am I grateful for about this business? What has it done for me? And I just kind of jot down ideas, and just taking a few minutes to do that rather than taking the few minutes to look at someone else and what they're doing starts those ideas flowing. And I realized like I have so much more inside of me to share than I even realized. As well as taking on this growth mindset and doing what challenges you. So it really helped me to build this own sense of confidence in my voice, was doing things that I was scared of all the time. And not the things where I was in like this panic zone of like, I can't do it, but the things that were a little bit uncomfortable for me. Video was a huge thing for me that was super uncomfortable for me at first. So I practiced going live on Instagram. I practiced doing Instagram stories. I practiced, running sneak peeks over and over and over and over and things like that. And over time, the nerves and everything, they just ease. But being able to communicate kind of your feelings and your opinions on things through video creates even more confidence and conviction in your story and what you have to say, because you can't go back and edit things, and you can't go back and change wordings of things. So it just helps to build this sense of confidence in yourself even more, because once you put it out there, that's it. So once you start to kind of have this ease of talking a little bit more, it just makes you feel like you're that much more capable. And that translated within my posts as well, and to every other part of my business, really. So really doing those things that challenge you consistently, because those are the things that are really going to grow you the most, give you the most confidence as a coach, give you the most confidence in what you have to say and the story that you have to share, and just make you feel like you have something important to put out there. So what you focus on is truly what you get. So when you focus on comparison, mimicking others, and self-doubt, you really just harbor this whole mindset of like toxicity, and it almost snowballs and you feel stuck there. And when you focus on that comparison, it really just takes over, I feel like, every aspect of this business and the way you perceive everything, rather than if you put your blinders up and focus on you and your own journey and what you have to do and your own growth, and truly representing yourself and focusing on personal development for those things that are challenging for you, for those things that you know you need to grow in and get better in and that are challenging for you, leads to this mindset of growth. So you're seeing your journey in a completely different way. You're not seeing coaching as this thing that's just like really hard and challenging and you're not good at, but instead you see it as something that you can grow into and get better at over time if you keep putting yourself out there and keep trying. I thought I had one more slide, but maybe not. Oh, I did. Okay, my computer is freezing. Okay, so just as a recap, your brand is a visual representation of you and who you are, which is represented just through things that you're drawn to, like colors, prints, objects that you're normally drawn to, and having that consistently shown over and over again through your page. You create a representation of you through consistency and what you're drawn to, which I just said. Your voice is developed through practice, not comparison. So you really need to develop kind of that muscle, that leadership muscle, that confidence muscle. It's something you need to really practice day in and day out and do the things that challenge you so that you can grow kind of into who you are as a person and into who you are as a coach. And doing what challenges you builds confidence and conviction in what we do and what you personally have to share with others. So that is all I have. I don't know if you guys have any questions or not.
Oh my God, Katie, I loved every single second of that. I hope you guys took a ton of notes. But,